Senator John Kelly. You'll be 8 minutes, Senator.
Thank you, Chairman. I won't be using 8 minutes. I want to welcome the Minister, first of all, to the House yet again. And just from my own point of view, as a former member of a county enterprise board, I want to applaud all the great work that they've done down through the years. There's a lot to be said with the structure that's presently in place by way of the make-up of the county enterprise boards. There's cross-party and cross-community involvement on these boards. And I remember on one occasion going to a county enterprise board meeting, and there was 2 projects from my own area. And I recall the evaluation committee reporting that they would fund the first project because they thought it was viable, and that they felt that the second project wouldn't be viable and they wouldn't fund it. Now, I had a different viewpoint on it. Now, I don't have any skills in this area, but I can spot a good businessman when I see one. And I suggested that the project that they were proposing to fund would not work, and the one that they said wouldn't work, that it would work. And fair enough, they took on board my point of view. I was right with the first one, it didn't work, but they did fund the second one on the strength of my contribution, and that year it won the Enterprise of the Year award. So I hope none of this is going to be lost by the make-up of the new LEOs. I am interested in your response to Senator Muraku's question in relation to what are these new LEOs modelled on. Is it from a model in another country? Also, bureaucracy, most certainly we have to deal with it, because anyone will tell you if you apply for anything now, you just get frustrated filling out forms. The same with leader programs and all of that. Senator O'Neill mentioned about new businesses being set up. Well, I repeatedly said that the hearts of rural towns are dying. And the reason for that is all because of bad planning that went on in the past with out-of-town developments for Tesco's and Aldi's, and people come to Tesco's and Aldi's and out-of-town places, and they just turn around and they go away again. And, you know, I remember on one occasion in my own town, and you know my friend that owns SuperValu there, he didn't want Aldi to come to town because they were planning to build outside of the town. And he said he would never object if they were to build right beside him. You know, and that is positive. And like that would have been progressive. And if planners thought like that, we wouldn't be in the state that we're in at the moment. I would also be suggesting, Minister, like towns like Roscommon and Ballahadreen, Boyle, Strokestown, there is no emphasis by the IDA in bringing work to those areas. That is quite clear. They have no interest in towns, even the size of your own, Ballymote. And it's quite true to say that when you're in Dublin, there's no recession. When you're in Galway, there's no recession, Limerick and Cork. And outside of that, there are a few other exceptions, but outside of that, rural Ireland is dying. Everybody is coming here for work. We're creating 3,000 jobs a month. That's very much welcome. But, Minister, will you try and do something to have those jobs spread around the country, you know, so that we don't have people immigrating and migrating for work to the likes of Dublin? And I'd also suggest to you that maybe it could be a pilot project of the Western Development Commission to look at the whole rural towns that are dying, centre of town, to see is there something that they can do. I know that they're interested in trying to do anything that might promote employment in rural Ireland, but maybe it's something that you could involve them in. And just coming to a conclusion now, in regard to incentives for taking on people for small SMEs, there are employment grants. Generous employment grants with the County Enterprise Board, and they're very much welcome and they're needed. But there's also the Jobs Plus initiative that was launched there by Minister Burton some months ago. And, you know, I think she has acknowledged it here the other day, that not many people know about it. And I think it could be something that maybe your department, Minister, could start to promote, whereby somebody who's on the live register, if an employer takes them off the live register, they get half their social welfare payment for 2 years. That's a huge boost to an employer if he was made aware of it. So I think these new structures need to inform people of this. And another idea of my own that I brought to the Minister's attention at one stage, but it hasn't moved as yet, and that is The Back to Work scheme hasn't gone away. It's still there. And I know many, many employers that started out on a Back to Work scheme. I know one guy, a friend of mine, he's now employing 50 people, you know, and he started on a Back to Work scheme. But one thing that should be considered in that Back to Work scheme, because of the whole area of cash up front and all the capital that's needed by employers, is that maybe if a guy was prepared to set up a self-employment business, maybe his 12 months of his social welfare payment could be front-loaded to him to help with the capital costs that he may need. So I just throw those ideas out there to you, Minister, and wait your response.